to Donkamet channel. Welcome and hello. Handles, 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 handles everywhere. This is a lovely handle on a bark spudding tool that I acquired sometime last year in an antique store. And I tested this out on some hemlock yesterday, and it was absolutely useless. It's dull. I did look into it, and generally they do need to be sharpened. This one didn't look like it was sharpened ever. But I think maybe depending on the bark, I think maybe this was used to smash bark off maybe oak or something that had been left, so that the bark shrugged off easily. Maybe it was because it does look like it's maybe seen some use. I don't know, it's hard to say. Just looks a little more polished up at the tip there, but that could just be from banging against stuff. I don't know. Maybe it was used, maybe it wasn't, but certainly it was used less, and you'd figure that this came like this. It didn't come beveled. But the deal with the hemlock bark is it's not so much that it's really well attached per se. It's like a mechanical thing because it's very stiff and stringy and tough, and it just holds its shape. So, but you can kind of get it to peel off in strips. So yeah, that was useless, and it got me thinking, wow, couldn't I kind of make something, improvise something? And then I think sometime last night, maybe when I was lying in bed, I realized that this was a job for a Tops Mini Pry. And indeed, this mud is on there because I used it to stab some roots, and it did pretty well at that, actually. You got the root that's in the ground, you want to cut through it. You don't want to damage your nice knife or whatever, but this thing, you just punch it into the dirt. No trouble. But yeah, prior to that, I was using it for spudding. And I found that I could go in this way, I could go in that way. But, there wasn't that much of a handle on it. So the bark will kind of ride up and smash you in the hand. So, got another handling job now because I want to cut a lot of these hemlocks so I can make more of this rail fencing. That's the whole deal. I debarked all of those with a knife, and you kind of was debarking and cutting the knots off with a knife, and it took a long time. And also, if you do that with a knife, the thing is that you cut very hard to not cut through the bark and then into the wood, and then it starts getting messy. So with this spudding tool, you can basically make it so that you stay between the bark and the wood without digging into the wood, and then leaving something for yourself to tidy up later. So yeah, myself and this Tops mini pry knife, we got a bit of history. We had some regrinding. Used to be serrations there right at the beginning. Yeah, quite a lot of regrinding, some whittling, some smashing things. Prying things, whatever. I did at some point evidently smack it on the back, and I don't know that I would have used a metal implement. I figured that was probably wood, but it might have been the Lilac War Club or something pretty hard. And this is obviously not a very hard heat treatment, and it may be differential. I don't know, but yeah, that was all mushroomed out, and it was pushing the scales off. I only just noticed because I started thinking about how to take the scales off, which wasn't difficult at all. They're just bolted on. But I was considering whether the lanyard tube was going to be an issue, and it is, so I'm going to have to cut that, and we'll get that off. And then for handles, I'm not sure, because I'd really like to do something quick. Now, for an example of what I don't want to do is get into this pole hook style project here, where I'm spend 2 weeks carving a handle, and then I still don't actually get around to putting the tool on the tool end of it. But yeah, this is a slow burn. This is going to be something that is very special for me to use every day and should last me perhaps a lifetime and so forth. Well, the pole might. I don't know about the blades. If I use them, I'll wear them out. But I can always put more blades in there. Yeah, I have a hook knife to go on one side and a kind of a small axe head to go in the other. This is a handle that I recently rehandled the brush axe. That's down in the cups now. Put an ash handle on that, and this was beechwood handle that was on there before, and I just didn't think it worked well at all. It was very beech doesn't absorb shock well at all, so it was very harsh, and also it was too straight because of the that's a whole other issue. I won't go into that, but there was some compensation necessary for the ideal handle for that brush axe. So this is a contender now, and I'm wondering whether this is because, to cut it short, considering the amount of work I put in to get this thing as straight and true as it is, cutting it in half would seem like a shame. If I'm going to make a shorter one, maybe then I can use something like this piece of ash here. That might make more sense, actually. And then, how do I want to attach it? I think I'm just going to screw it onto one side of maybe I will use this piece, actually, because I didn't see any. I'll look into it, but I think that the glory of Google is you can just look up, like, what's the typical length of a bark spudding tool handle, and you probably get a pretty good answer on something like that. That's coming up on 7 minutes of blather. Should we have a look at some knives? This is a JB Stout Sparrow, manufactured in China by Riat. I saw this on Edge Mindset channel, and I've had this notion for a while that I'd like something, kind of like this. It's a hook bill. I can use it for pruning, but I can get it out one-handed. And, maybe something a little modern, a little cool, a little more robust. Not to replace, but rather to complement my traditional hook bills, which, if you really want to get into the fine pruning, something like the GEC Farm and Field is always going to do a better job than this. It'll thin it out a little bit and kind of fattened out the bevels and so forth. So it's performing quite well. But it is indeed a stout blade. Harpoon hawkbill. Poon hawk. Titanium, Something I like about this is that it's a nice wide gap here, and I don't have to use this area of my thumb so much. I can get in with like the middle of my thumb to close that. Pocket clip is a tough one. It's not really that good, but it's okay. It will cause premature wear of trousers, I think. That's a little fiddly. And that kind of does seem to fulfill that niche that I was looking to fill there. I'm going to bring this one out again because I don't know if in love is really I'm so admiring and respectful of this knife. It is such a good knife. It's very lightweight and slim, low profile for what it is, put it in your pocket and forget it's there, and then when you get it out, man, you got a really good sized, purposeful, very sharp, all kinds of good knife. This Real Steel Destra, feel I can recommend. Yeah, it's a little, it's a little lackluster. I get it. I'd be the first one to kind of say meh about, the G10 and the overall just kind of machine-made nature of the thing. But it just works really well. One more. Jimbus Maximus wanted a closer look at this knife. And I mean, I'm saying one more. I have more knives on me, but I'm going to cut it after this. Go and actually do some stuff. Jimbus Maximus requested a closer look at this knife, and I think I ought to take probably multiple closer looks at this knife. Under hard use, I have detected the very slightest amount of potential play. If I just grab this like this, I can't move it around. But if I'm really pushing through wood, I felt detected, a fraction of a millimeter of movement in there. Because it is a takedown. You can undo that screw and slide the blade out of the handle, do maintenance on either or. And I guess when you put them back together again, you could pop some wax in there or something to fill the gap. It's got a very nicely polished and crowned spine. Sorry if the knife is not that clean, but yeah, pretty easy to get a nice polish like that on a spine. Try getting that on the flat though. That's another deal. I'm not so into these mega scratchy finishes, but it's a stainless steel, so who cares? I forget the name of the steel, but it's like a D2 equivalent. Okay. Camera's doing that thing, running out of memory. We'll look at this again with the sheath later. Thanks for watching. Bye.